I hope you're doing well today. I had a harebrained idea in the middle of the night, and as I am apt to do actually, and thought, you know what, I was just going to try it out first and then let you guys know what it works, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take you guys along for the whole ride. That way, if it works good, you'll know, and if it works terrible, if you have had or in the future have the same idea, you'll know not to try it. So the thing I was thinking about was cuttings, any kind of cuttings really, but particularly leaf cuttings on certain things like the orchid cactus and various things like that, Easter cactus, etc. So having them suspended above the water, the cuttings, wasn't quite cutting it. Some of them were shriveling. If you saw my most recent Easter cactus update or the cutting update on that, where they were too shriveled, so I put them in water. And they're doing fine. They're not rotting. That's fine. But I was just pondering and thinking about the whole situation and being like, you know, in water is kind of too much, but above water sometimes isn't enough. I wish there was some way, you know, kind of like an idea like pumice, where you could water them really, really frequently, but that it wouldn't dry out every day, because I really can't water every single day or even every few days. It's just too much to keep up with all of the other things going on right now. So I was just trying to think how I could keep my cuttings moist without them being submerged in water. And the thought that came was to try a sponge. Now, so I ordered a little pack of these sponges. I wouldn't use normal household sponges that are made out of chemicals and could very possibly have some antibacterial type stuff in them. These sponges are just vegetable cellulose, and so they're compostable and totally safe for, you know, plant use. So I got, obviously, this package, and I cut it open here and poke some of them down there to hydrate. So my idea was that it would keep the end kind of the roots, specifically once they've started sprouting roots, it would keep them kind of in contact with moisture, but not where they couldn't get air, good air circulation, etc. So my thought was, which this I'm seeing these for the first time. This is all on camera. I haven't done any planning otherwise. So my thought was that taking a sponge like this and cutting a little slit, actually my scissors may work better for that. Yeah. Cutting, well, my end isn't very tough here, but you might or might not need even to cut a little slit, but for a few of them that I was thinking of, I thought, you know what, they might just kind of want to sit down in there. And just have them in contact with the sponge, and have a dish, and this is rainwater that I'm soaking them in here, and I'm just gonna kind of rinse them out a little bit, just in case, you know, with manufacturing and whatnot, you never know. They are just vegetable cellulose, but still sometimes there's chemicals or whatnot used in the process, or the water they're made with is treated. So I'm just going to rinse them out a bit. There's no odor of any kind of chemicalness at all, so that's good. I'm just going to do this real quick. And then my idea was to leave them in like a shallow, I'll show you here. A shallow container where they could wick it up, so I wouldn't have to water them all the time, because obviously a sponge is going to dry out pretty fast. But if I put it in a shallow little container like this, yeah, that's too much. Where it could just kind of wick it up, but they would be not completely submerged. Ooh, sorry, getting hiccups here. So, not completely submerged in the water and still able to get good circulation going on. So I gathered just a few random little leaves here that I cut off of random plants that I'm just gonna try this out and see what goes. I'm gonna give that a clean, fresh So what I'm going to do is let these guys callus off, because all of these guys are fresh. It just took them today. So I'm going to let them callus off. And then I'm just going to make some holes. Not all the way through, but just a little bit. Some of the natural holes may be fine enough, like that one's just fine. It doesn't go all the way through, but it goes in just kind of enough to hold it. It still gets air circulation, but it's in kind of direct contact with the sponge. And I may just lay these peperomia leaves, even, you know, make a little hole and just lay them like this. I may not even cut them. And I got a couple Thanksgiving cactuses here. I'm just trying to, I'll probably grab a few other cuttings as well, just to get a more wide, some echeveria or something like that, a more wide variety of plants to test this out on and just compare it, because currently I have plants growing over water and in water, or cuttings rooting, sorry, over and in, etc. And we have really dry air here, so it's kind of a delicate balance of keeping them moist enough but not overly moist. So this is my wild-haired idea. I will let you guys know in a few weeks. I'll show you guys what's up and what they are doing or not doing, and if it was a good idea or a terrible idea. Yeah, I will let you know. But I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to show everybody what I'm doing, and we'll just do this together and see how it works and see what happens and how often I have to keep the sponges wet, etc. I feel like they could even possibly be stacked on each other for the longer stemmed plants, and poke a hole and have them kind of hold them up a little bit but not be all the way down in the water. Just yeah, I'm just curious. Now there's of course the risk of your roots growing into the sponge if you left them too long, so these guys will need to be checked, I'm sure. But I'll discuss all of the possible well, I will discuss the actual pros and cons once I know what they are, instead of going into a ton of theoretical potential pros and cons, because there are a lot of potential pros and cons. But I just, you know, so many people argue this will work and that will work and no it won't work and yes it will, and I am totally just into experimenting and trying it. And I haven't heard anyone actually discussing this either. But yeah, you could be like, no, it's not a good idea. However, or because the roots could get entangled in it, and then when you pull them out it could hurt their roots. However, being as this is just vegetable cellulose, I'm going to look into this brand particularly just a little bit more to make sure that and see how fast they compost. But I don't think cutting off just a little bit of the sponge that your roots were in and planting it with the plant is actually going to cause a whole ton of a problem. And you can really easily cut away most of it if you don't mind cutting your sponge. So say this plant was rooted in here, as long as I don't mind ruining the sponge, I can cut a hunk off and then just slowly remove most of it without hurting the roots. But I would not plan on leaving them very long. I would plan on just leaving them until the roots are just beginning and pulling them out before they can really attach to anything. But we'll see if that actually works. We'll see how it goes. So wish me luck and I will talk to you guys soon, and happy growing.